Welcome to the March edition of the Tough Love Arena State of the Game stream. My name is Paul. I will be your host tonight, and I'm one of the two co-creators of Tough Love Arena, the hottest new browser-based indie fighting game that is free when you're playing it on the browser and cheap when you're playing on Steam. My name is Paul, and I'll spend the next 30 to 60 minutes telling you all about the state of the game. I have some nice little slides prepared, then we'll do a little Q&A at the end of Twitch chat. It's going to be great. We're going to have so much fun. Let's get started. What happened in the past? What did we accomplish in the month of February? Or really since the last state of the game? A couple of things. I helped Shiggy. This was, all credit to Shiggy. But we helped facilitate and advertise Tough Love Gauntlet number 100. I commentated for most of it after I went 2-2. I think 2-2. Don't fact check me on that. We had a $267 prize pool. I think our biggest prize pool. And it was a ton of fun. Go ahead and check out Shiggy's channel. I think their YouTube channel is the Apex Collective. If you want to see the VOD. And I just got a spam in chat. I don't know if I've ever gotten that before. How do I, premium content. How do I, bam, okay. Oh, the YouTube channel is Shiggy Beats. Perfect. Beyond that, we pushed a balance patch in the middle of the month where we did a bunch of other smaller adjustments. You can look it up on the full patch notes, but the most notable one was adding Caber cancels, which have been mostly having a positive reception so far. And I made some pretty decent progress on queuing from Training Room, a long requested feature. So I'm proud of that. We also had our monthly survey, as per usual. Sent it out a little bit late, so we didn't give people a lot of time to respond. But I like to always show these slides. People think the game is fun. People think it's easy to learn. These are the two most important metrics, and all the other, how do you like the game, recommendation, all those were in the positive as well. I just got lazy and didn't want to make 8 slides. But I always bring this up whenever we do the survey. These are my canary in the coal mine. Things are looking good. We haven't ruined the game yet. I thought I'd share some selected feedback that I found interesting. This time I'll close the poll an hour before state of the game and just barely have enough time to pull the graphs, but this time I made an effort to close it a day before so I could actually look at some of the feedback before the state of the game stream and write some stuff down. So I thought it'd be fun to share some of the notes I found the most interesting. People complaining about the Unblockable versus Rice specifically. This didn't exist before when Rice had a fully invulnerable teleport, but now that teleport has armor, they can be thrown in the Unblockable scenario. Still some balancing issues around SWAT versus Slap. People continue to want Pork to have a better jump cancel. And I assume this was the same person, but I didn't check. Asked for less meter gain on both onion and garlic, which is interesting. I hadn't heard that one before. And lastly, not a reasonable suggestion to make sneak appear lower. This one got me thinking. This is the one that made me want to make the slides and share these thoughts and why they sometimes impact me. Stuff like the Unblockable and the jump cancel on Pork, these are what I call just normal signals. And quick aside, I think I've just been watching too much Sajam lately. Watching Sajam makes me want to do this. I don't need to be doing this. I don't need to... Anyways, nothing against him, he's great. But I see myself on camera and I feel the need to do that. A bizarre tick. A lot of these comments I view as, good noise. So these are not the first time I've heard some of this feedback, and I like to keep track of it just to see if the volume is going up or down. However, the sneak suggestion was an interesting one. It's one of those things where, some parts of the design were very well thought out, very meticulous, very iterated upon multiple times. And some of them were just I had an idea and it seemed to work pretty good the first time, and then 2 years passed and no one complained. And the sneak one is an interesting one that I'm not going to say I'm going to implement, but I might want to test later, because I envisioned it's a jump attack, so he should jump in. But really, the purpose of it is more of crossing up and getting around and, potentially interrupting a committed button. And if I want sneak to be easier to answer, which, like, you can answer it if you're super ready for it, but not all buttons, like, hit it super cleanly. It can just be a little awkward. And I think making it appear lower could be a way of making it more lenient for the defender. I would still keep, like, all the frame advantage and everything. It would just, like, fall slower, perhaps. But to make it, like, actually tradable with some of the lower hitting buttons could be an idea. So stuff like that gives me pause, gives me something to think about. So I appreciate this. Please continue to leave your feedback. I've made so many good changes to the game, so many balance changes and design changes, thanks to notes like these. So thank you. Chapter 2, the present. What do we have in the tank right now? What do I think about the current state of the game? I think game balance is in a good place. I've been playing a lot more recently, both in TLGs and outside of them, and I've been watching and commentating the tournaments, and I feel pretty good about things. I'm glad to see that the noodle nerfs, the noodle adjustments, didn't kill the character by any means. The anecdotal feedback I've been getting from people so far is that the meat uppercut change with the big hard knockdown has been well received, and it's not, meats are excited to have it, but it's not something absurdly broken that people are complaining about. That's a great place to be. And the caber cancels have been well received. Some people want me to go further. I didn't bother including some of those suggestions because I don't agree with them, but I like it so far, and I've gotten more than one person to tell me directly, like, hey, pork's really fun now. So, big win in my book. The general work that I have in progress right now, unfortunately, just the habit of working on this part-time and being the somewhat scatterbrained developer that I am, I try to finish things, but sometimes I can get a little interrupted, a little distracted. So right now I have three what I'd call big projects that are all in various states of progress. Some of them 20 to 60% done. And my current priority is 1, prepping for April Fools, because that has a hard deadline of April 1st. 2, queuing from training, and then 3, iOS app. I know I was working on the iOS app a lot in the winter. I've not abandoned it. I've made really good progress, but I sort of had that eureka moment on how I could restructure my matchmaking code to integrate with the training room. And once I understood that, once I had that shower thought, I'm much more excited about doing that. I think it has much more immediate value, and I want to try and get that done first before finishing the iOS app. So that's where we're currently at. And now let's talk about the future. What do we have coming up for the month of March? So first, I'm going to announce this explicitly. In the past, we've been kind of coy about it. The first year I think it was a surprise, 2021. In 2022, we called it the Completely Normal Tournament, which just made talking about it after the fact extremely confusing. And this time I want people to anticipate it. I want people to get excited. We're doing an April Fool's patch, and we're doing an April Fool's tournament. So by nature of just how the calendar worked out this year, and also I'm excited to do this because I'm putting a lot of work into it this year, the patch will be live for a full week, after which it will, like all the previous patches, be shared in mod form and also rehosted on a separate URL for people who want to check it out. So we'll be able to have that tournament at the end of that week. So people have lots of time to practice the characters. I anticipate even making some small balance changes, because I want the tournament to be good. Last year, the tournament, my one regret is that I can't remember who it was, but there were 2 characters that weren't in last year's tournament at all because they kind of got nerfed, and 2 characters that just got buffed. And I'd like to see better character representation. So this also gives me some lead time to make some small adjustments. Onion sucked. Really? All the combo heavy Onion? Onion. It was Onion. Okay, Rice was the OP one, right? With the multi-slap. With the multi-swat. The meter dump insta-kill with the Rice. I remember that being the problem. Oh, and the teleporт parry. I forgot about the parry. That was fun. Okay. So please put this in your calendars. You can go ahead and type in that URL and register for the tournament. It has just a big old TBD in the description right now because I made it a couple hours ago. we will release more details, more everything, but standard rules apply. It'll be on my stream. It'll be a 7 o'clock tournament. It will have premium accounts on the line, and may or may not have a Maturino. I'm not sure if I want to involve money in a pretty jokey tournament, but it will be an official TLA tournament, so please sign up for that if you want to play. I'm super excited for it. I'm also excited to announce that we have been confirmed for Combo Breaker. So, in late May, Combo Breaker is, for those who don't know, a big annual FGC event in the greater Chicago area. We were there last year. It was our first FGC event we ever went to, and we're super excited to announce that we'll be back. We have been confirmed for a booth, which is going to be an artist alley, but we'll have a table where you can meet me and Amy. We'll have some setups, we'll have some merch, we'll be just generally hanging out around all weekend. I'm also this year applying for a side tournament. I haven't heard back yet, but I want to try and run a tournament if I can. We did it at Frosty Faustings just a month ago, and it was super fun. So definitely, if you were on the fence or if you're local, please check it out, and we'll be there. The only other events we're planning on this year is some stuff local to New York City. That's just in our backyard. And we're going to try for EVO. But I'm not currently planning on any other majors. So if you really want to come out and see us, this is probably one of your 2 chances, assuming you're not already on the East Coast. So beyond those super exciting announcements, what do we have going on this month? I will be basically full-time working on April Fools. I assume I'll be working on it down to the wire because I've got so many ideas I want to cram in if I have time. I will also be moving, which for the fellow adults in the chat is not a very fun experience and is incredibly time-consuming and stressful. So dev streams are, I don't want to say they're canceled, but the regular time is not going to happen. Next Monday, my streaming PC will be in a box. However, I am taking some time off work to do the move, so I'm optimistic about post-move being able to do 1 or 2 dev streams from the new apartment while I'm on this mini vacation and just slowly unpacking. So, super excited to do that. Next time you see me, I will have a different background. And lastly, at the end of March, PAX East is in Boston. Last year we attended and had a booth. We decided not to do any PAXs this year because they were very expensive. The booths were very expensive. But I will be going there just for fun. I'm meeting up with some old friends. So just, again, if you're in the neighborhood, if you plan on attending PAX and you want to meet up, please shoot me a DM. Always happy to meet people who are fans of the game, who play the game. Maybe we can hang out in the gaming area of the con and fight on a DBFC cabinet or something. And that's it. Let us move on to the Q&A. So starting at this point in chat, after I eat deck saying no soup, no frenzy, anything posted after that I will read. So if you have any questions, please ask them. If you posted any questions before, please repost them. And I'm happy to sit here and chat with you until the questions run out. So let me switch over the camera so you can see all of my pores. There we go. And let's get started. Table asks, why would you buff Teleport, Skull? I have not indicated any strong intentions to buff Teleport. Teleport has always been one of the weaker reversals, but I thought that was okay considering Rise's otherwise strong design. I like the armor change we made. I think that is truer to the animation, and I like removing armor from SWAT. I like that the armor gives someone an option up close so they can actually go for like a meaty throw, but it does feel particularly weak now, and so I might consider like maybe shaving a little bit of recovery off. I don't know. There's some ideas. Let me just say there's some ideas coming up in April Fools. And as is always, most of the April Fool's patch is a joke, but a bunch of them are also, proto-balance ideas. So we'll see if any of those pan out. How about that? And otherwise, I'll leave you in a little bit of suspense. Gotta leave some surprise. Let's get better framing. Okay. Charge asks, Paul, what chips were you eating, and what is your favorite chip brand? the chips I was eating was a giant bag of not sponsored Doritos nacho cheese. They're not my favorite chips. I don't know if I have like a brand that's explicitly my favorite chip. My favorite flavor is salt and vinegar. I absolutely love salt and vinegar chips. However, they are not a fun snack. I think they're delicious. I love them, but I can only eat so much salt and vinegar chips before my mouth just kind of like hurts and I have to stop. So I picked these up today while I was picking up moving supplies as a, you know, more of a comfort food. And then thought I'd have a little bit before stream. I Eat Desk says, make Frenzy just Noodle flipping the bird? Noodle already is flipping the bird. You're saying just do nothing else? An interesting proposal. Snatcherman asks, what do you think about how Caber Cancel interacts with Pork Jump Cancel? It seems kind of strange, unintuitive that you have to let go back very fast to get the grab. Yes, that was not intentional when I pushed the patch. I only discovered that when people pointed it out after the fact. I would either want to... I've not felt decisive enough to make a move, / I've been very distracted. But I don't love how it is right now. I will probably either change it to just go back to being a truly empty cancel like it was before, at which point then you can choose to do Caber Toss. Or have it always go into Caber Toss with no chance to cancel. I haven't decided which yet, though. But I don't really love it right now. The imprecision of the input. Table Rice suggests Anna Karis backdash on Rice. I know that's the character from Dogstalkers, but I don't know what their backdash looks like. Let's look that up. How would I very quickly and easily find footage of that? Anna Karis, Vampire Savior. Maybe some match footage? Is that the backdash? That like float? Or is that just jumping backwards? When he backdashes in the corner, he reappears on the other side. So his backdash like turns into a teleport? Oh, was that his backdash? The like shoom. That looks like a backdash. So you're saying Rice's would essentially look like more of a backdash that would then turn into a teleport once Rice got cornered. That just sounds strictly better than Garlic's backdash. That could be an interesting choice for Garlic, to make Garlic's backdash turn into a teleport when it makes contact with the corner. I don't think that would go on Rice. I was very careful to make sure Rice can't easily run away. Very conscious of that. Table asks, are there any particularly funny suggestions you got? If there have been suggestions in the Discord, I haven't been reading them. Please feel free to DM me links to messages or something. There's some stuff, not a lot, and not anything I could say because some of them I'm taking seriously. But I don't have a satisfying answer for that question. Sorry, Table. February asks, so Paul, according to the present slide, Noodle nerfs didn't kill the character. I agree. Noodle is still in a very good place, all things considered. However, there were Rice nerfs made as well. We didn't forget about those. What happened to Rice, Paul? Yeah, Rice got hit with some collateral damage, I think. What was the... Back to the slides again. About. Patch notes. The damage reduction. This was a suggestion from Rice players on how to help differentiate slap and swat. These wouldn't have affected Rice. Was there something else recent? I mean, there was this stuff. I am a little worried. I will be honest about this. Rice has been a pretty easy contender for top 2 for a long time. And a certain someone who will not be named, who plays Rice, has been whispering into my ear nonstop for the last year about how much I should nerf Rice. And I take that suggestion very seriously from a Rice main. I think that's very humble of them. Whoever this mystery person is, I think that's very humble of them and very self-aware and considerate. And so I took those suggestions very seriously. And I fear that maybe this hypothetical mystery person might have just been like, I don't know, on a mission to turn their character into a low tier. I'm afraid I might have overtuned based on this one person having the Emperor's ear, so to speak. So, nothing I'm planning on doing right now. I don't feel like I have a good enough picture of the full game balance right now. But I am aware that I may have gone a little far in a few places. So it's on my radar. Meanwhile, Charge immediately asks right after that, Paul, why is Rice damage so high? So you can never win. Charge asks, Paul, will you give Garlic a hover dash? What does a hover dash mean? Like a box jump? No. Hover dash like Eno or Morgan. Given the way that jump attacks work in this game and the lack of overheads, I don't think that has value. Nor works. It is an interesting idea. I love Eno. Eno's my main in Strive. Potentially former main. I've been having a bit of an affair with Bridget lately. But I love the hover dash mechanic, but it just doesn't translate to this game with the lack of highs and with the controlled jumps. But a fun suggestion. If anything, it would essentially be a buff to dash, because now if you interrupt a dash, you would only get an airborne combo instead of a grounded combo. And that would not be my desire. To give that like very awkward indirect buff. I Eat Deck says give Pork 2 jump cancels, a forward air dash, and a backwards air dash. Maybe. Hoi Poi says, if you could add anything at all to TLA, even just for fun, what would you put in? An interesting question, Hoi Poi, considering that I am the developer, so I'm theoretically doing all the things that I want to do. I would say if I could add anything at all, irrespective of, like, cost, let's say, it would be more characters. If I could wave a wand and add something to the game, it would be more characters. Everything else, I am determined to do in due time. If I were to say a totally out of left field thing that sounds cool, but it's just kind of too much work to justify doing at any point in the next several years, I think it'd be really cool to take all the art and repurpose it into a beat-em-up game. And that could be an alternative single-player experience that we could have that would essentially be its own game and have its own strengths, with only some overlap in terms of rules and gameplay. I think that would be a lot of fun. I loved playing beat-em-ups as a kid. I loved the Streets of Rage series. I loved the TMNT series. I even loved Alien Storm, Golden Axe, all this crap. I have a great nostalgia for that type of game. The Scott Pilgrim one that came out like a decade ago was really good. So that would, I think, be my moonshot. But that would require even more animation for mobs and art for stages and just an entirely new engine. So, you know, that could be the next game type thing. I don't know. But why are all the names appearing purple in the stream? That's kind of weird. Anyways, what? Yeah, I pointed at the wrong thing. That should be. There we go. Why are all the names purple? I don't know when that happened. reading the reactions to the rice discussion. Table says other rice mains aren't happy. I myself am a Mulder and I'm already using the low tier OS. But Rice right now is very honest and fair and does fine in every matchup, struggling in matchups he should and doing well in other matchups they should. I think that's very fair, Table. Thank you. Thank you for being honest about the state of your hair and how quickly you are losing it due to rage. Charge asks, Paul, thoughts on Beef throw random items? That was originally the idea. Beef was just going to throw yellow things, so it was going to be a lemon, a rubber ducky, the funny third thing, and then after the temp animation, like the very early roughs were in, we did the audio recording, and I thought it would be fun to say lemon when he threw the lemon. And then we got sort of stuck to the lemon, and now the lemon is here to stay. Although it has been fun in the alternative skins, even though he still says lemon, to throw a toy car and grape soda and all that crap. That's fun. Fenordian Slip says, give Pork Potemkin Buster. I assume Potemkin Buster is just the normal command grab. Or is that actually the name of like the anti-air grab or something? If you're talking about the normal grab that does half health, no. That's... I would have... That works on Potemkin because Potemkin is a giant slow fart compared to everyone else in the game. But when everyone in the game has basically equally mediocre movement as Pork, I can't make the command grab that devastatingly strong because it's honestly a lot easier to land. Table Rice asks, Paul, can you give Pork the Koopa Backdash Waveslide Hoverwalk Moonland? No. What if all the mobs are just beef projectiles? Hoi Poi asks, how much has TLA changed since your original idea? A fuck ton. It depends on how far back we want to go. My very, very original idea was a game that was literally just punch and kick, no jumping, no throws. I made that prototype and discovered in 2 days that it was extremely not fun. So I added jumps. And then later added throws. Because getting a life lead and then just sitting there while someone tried to very slowly kill you with chip was not fun. But even from, like, let's say the point where we went live 2 years ago, 2 years and change ago, the things that I've added that I did not expect to add would be mod support, all the additional cancels and additional moves on all the characters, a freaking fourth button. The game also had 2 buttons for, like, the first year of development until I realized that I was cheating in a lot of places and mapping a third button onto pressing both of them at the same time. You threw by pressing L and H at the same time, and then, oh, this isn't going to work on mobile, let's add a third button. But even then, I was cramming all that crap in, like the proximity throw, until finally we added the fourth button a couple months ago. I'd say the fourth button... The skins, I don't think we plan to do all the skins we've done, but it's been a really fun tradition with the events. So I'm really glad how that worked out. And I'd say just like some of the features on the periphery, like mod support, all the different features I've added to lobbies over the years, that kind of stuff. Charge asks, what about for AF? Are you talking about the beef projectiles? I have different plans for AF. Eat Deck says there's a mod that does that. If you're talking about the, like, fighting the soda can, yeah, that's a really cool one. February asks, food for thought. I know that one of your philosophies for the game is avoid adding complexity without depth. Thank you. Every major change reflects that most of the time, but do you ever think that too much depth at the end of it all could potentially be a challenge? Yes. So there's 2 things. I don't want to add like needless depth, needless complexity that doesn't merit the additional the mental overload. doesn't justify its place increasing the mental stack. So I've tried to make all my changes very intentional, very meaningful, and also you'll notice a lot of the more advanced techniques are extremely opt-in. They've always had a easier alternative, like even when I added rejection, you still had burst. And even when I added jump cancels, well, you know, people may never even discover that exists. And stuff like that. I would say the closest we've gotten, though, is jump cancels. Jump cancels, I'm not about to delete them, but I don't love them. I'm glad players seem to like them, and they're fun to watch in tournaments. It's fun to see the air lemon blow up the parries. And I think they're actually a really good answer to how strong parries became. For those who didn't know, parries used to not work against jump-ins because it would be too strong. And also parries used to be super active. But that was super unintuitive, so I made parries less active but work against jump-ins, but then people just got good, and then parries were OP against jump-ins again. So now jump cancels gave parries, weakened parries again, and it's been this dance back and forth and back and forth. And doing that and some of the additional strategies, specifically Rice Drill, Buzzsaw, Air Lemon, these are all successes in my mind. The other three I really don't love. And I really don't like that jump cancels can come out when you don't mean them to. Jump cancels will come out very unpredictably when you cross up the opponent, which doesn't happen in every matchup, but it does with Garlic and Rice. And even for people who watch the dev stream know, I have a branch that's running that I check on every once in a while about the idea of adding cross-ups into the game, removing the sky-high push boxes. And basically what made me put that work on pause was the fact that like jump cancels were just completely broken. Broken in a bad way, in terms of like, you're doing them when you're not meaning to, you're trying to do it and you don't do it, because just like, where exactly do you cross up? I fear that jump cancels have added too much complexity for the depth that they have contributed. And so stuff like jump cancels give me pause. Pork Temkin. Table Rice asks, any thoughts on spices? They don't really get changed. To be fair, they don't really need to be, but they do just never change. You were right. They have probably changed the least since like month 2. There was some early iteration when everyone thought onion sucked. I really liked the change I made to hop kick. And then hop fake was fun. But yeah, all the changes in the last like year and a half have been completely redesigning Noodle, adding swipe, giving beef and pork additional moves and cancels and all this other crap. The spices have been pretty stable. They do the thing. They're good at what they do. And they've always been viable. They've always been topper tier. Part of it is they were the ones that I sort of stuffed their design the most to begin with. And I'd say that all the other characters have basically caught up now. Right? At launch, they were the only ones with command moves. Now, the Carbs have command moves. They were the only ones that had, like, diverging cancels, or many diverging cancels, and now meats have, like, a billion different cancels. To the point where now they're not the most complicated character, and the only part that makes them sort of the complicated ones is the fact that their B&B involves a link. But by that same token, because they already started off sort of the most designed, and they were the last ones I made, because I made Noodle, then Beef, then Garlic during development, they had the most mature design, and they sort of had all the tools. And that's part of why I think I really struggled to design both of their jump cancels, because like they didn't feel like they needed anything. There wasn't anything that I had really left out. So it's not that I'm against changing them. I just haven't had that eureka moment of like, oh, what if they did this? This could be really interesting for them, in the way that I have for almost every other character at this point. Even Beef, I rolled back Grill Time, but Grill Time was for second, oh, this will revolutionize Beef. I haven't really had that moment. I will say, Onion's parry has changed a lot. I forget that sometimes. Onion's parry has changed a lot. That's been a bit of a work in progress. And we've been Actually, I'm rewriting history here. Garlic did change. Garlic didn't have the multi-dab for a long time. I love the multi-dab. I love both the dabbing full screen, dashing full screen, and also the back and forth. I do the back and forth all the time. Every time I play Garlic, I do that until I get hit. I just love it. It's so much fun. It's so annoying. So they get stuff, but it's definitely, they're not getting newly animated moves in the way that Pork and Noodle do. FG Wizard says, "Hi, here's a cookie." Thank you, FGC Wizard 19. Well, I just had a cookie, but I ate it. I was gonna take out a cookie and be like, "Oh, thank you." Table says, "Also, I've heard some Spice mains say their anti-air damage is a bit low." That's true. You're starting it with a light, and then you get like heavy. That is a thing. I'm okay with that. I don't think they have to have the most air damage, but it's a fair criticism. They also have a very strong anti-air, so, you know, that can be very reliable damage. FGC Wizard is saying, "Too much of anything is not good, just what's needed for in moderation." Fair. I assume that's replying to some of the earlier stuff. Hoi Poi says, "What's something that you've put in the game that you're very proud of?" A bunch of things. I'm really proud of the, as limited and janky as it is, I'm really proud of the mod support that I was able to add to the game pretty quickly. I'm really proud of the sliding puzzle minigame. I'm really proud of the archetype design and their normals and their strengths and the not intentional, like, weapon triangle that exists. I think that's all turned out wonderfully, and I'm very happy with that, and I'm very happy that I haven't ruined it yet. I am very pleased with both Onion and Garlic. They were the characters whose designs I was most passionate about, and I like that they have so much in common, but they satisfy two very different passions. Onion combos. Onion is the only person who has combos like Onion combos. Now that I took up Meat Links were a mistake. And I love the unique movement that Garlic has, even when often you're just getting yourself killed. I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of being able to make a game that works this well in a browser. That has definitely been our biggest hook. It's been our biggest boon, the browser thing, and being able to implement rollback and run pretty good. And there's always more to improve. And I was just talking to people the other day in the performance channel who are struggling to run on their computer. Like, I still think the game should be run way faster for what it is. It is very simple. But it's kind of the nature of just the tools that I'm using, being both JavaScript and Canvas, are very inefficient tools. But they were the tools that I knew, and you don't really have many options when you're working in the browser. So they're not super easily replaced. I'm very proud of that all these things were able to come together into a game that people got interested enough that a full 26 months after releasing it, I still have 11 people showing up to watch me talk about it for an hour. That's very cool. I'm very proud of that. FGC Wizard says, "What was the hardest thing you had to do as a fighting game dev?" You know what it actually is? Not get in the mud. For the first month or so, I'd see all these conversations in Discord where people would be talking about, like, this move is overpowered, or this move has no answer, or Onion's parry is useless. And I would get defensive of my game because I viewed their arguments coming simply from a place of ignorance. You know, people could say that it was poorly designed, but, like, people who thought that things were non-functional. I would want to jump in and I'd want to defend myself because I'd feel like these were criticisms of the game. I put so much heart into the game that criticisms of the game felt like criticisms of myself. And that was not, one, it didn't improve things. It didn't make me feel better. And two, it was not a good look. And it took me time to both realize and then really internalize and believe that people need a place to talk about their game. People need a place to vent. I myself have enjoyed fighting games. I myself have been on forums and on Discords, and I've said all sorts of very mean things about things that I dearly love. And I would hate if after I whined about, dying to some Dark Souls boss for the 10th time, I made a salty tweet about it, and the Dark Souls developer quote tweeted me and said, "This makes me not want to work on the game anymore." Like, that would feel very weird and very upsetting. And it took me a while to realize that I'm the game developer now, and I have to be really careful to not do that to people. So we moderate content, and we moderate stuff like what's acceptable and hate speech and all that stuff. But I've really done my best to step back from the balanced discussions. This is like the whole balanced discussion channel I was very active in for the first little while. And now you'll notice that I stop by once a month to just shitpost, because I think that's the important place for people to have their arguments. And I can read it, and I can get valuable insight out of it. But it's not my place to defend myself. This is not the forum for me to defend myself. So, Fenoridian Slip says, official forums full of negativity is a big turn for potential new players. I absolutely agree. I don't want it to ever become toxic. And in fact, there was a point where it crossed the line. I'm not going to name names, but there was some incident months ago, I forget exactly when, where people were kind of much more vocally, not just like complaining about, Pork's bullshit, but like complaining about the game. And that's a part where I think I stepped in and was just like, hey, come on guys, just leave then. You don't have to do that here. But I think I did that in like DMs. I did it privately. And didn't cause drama in the public channel. That's been the hardest thing. It's not super unique to fighting games, but maybe a little bit more so because so much of it is based on balance, and fighting games in general have all this gnosis and stuff that's difficult to learn. And I feel very justified in my design decisions, but it's so easy to see people play the game for the first time, see comments on Panda videos, see people playing the game at events when they don't realize that I'm the developer and I'm standing right there talking about like, oh, this game doesn't have up or down, must be dog shit. Like, it's hard to hear, and it's hard to stomach, but I have come around to that being the best course of action. It's just never the right move. There's no gain to fighting with people. That got a little emotional, but that's my honest answer. Kevin Kryptonite asks, what is the best thing I could buy the TLA merch? So right now, for those who don't know, I'm going to do it in chat. You can do ! merch. And that is our Redbubble store. It currently has all beta art. When Amy finishes Garlic, we are going to take all of those arts down and put up all the polished ones. So I totally understand if you don't want a janky picture of beef right now, but also if you want the super exclusive hipster merch, now is your chance. There's a lot of good merch options there. I personally prefer the merch that is... I like getting stuff on like mugs and stickers. I like inanimate objects that I can display and see every day, as opposed to like a shirt. Because sometimes the shirts, like, I don't know about Redbubble in specific, but oftentimes when I get shirts with, some IP on it, like, they're not very comfortable. So, I'm a big fan of mugs. Taylor Rice says, Rice B&Bs involve links. You are correct, Taylor Rice. I forgot about that. Yes. However, I guess that's only up-close B&Bs, right? There's basically two combo paths. Are you doing slap combos which require links, or are you doing whip combos which don't require links? And honestly, the noodle combos are harder than... the noodle soup combos, some of those juggles are harder than anything Onion has. But your point stands. I misspoke. Table asks, do you have any thoughts on Beef? They have been one of the strongest characters for a long time and have only been getting indirect new shit, which is cool. Uh, Beef has been strong. I think I talked a long time ago about, like, you know, as a designer, which characters are safe to be top tier, and, like, you usually don't want the grapplers or zoners to be top tier because they tend to feel bad for people. And Beef, being a pretty prototypical all-rounder, is one of the safer characters to have be top tier because, yes, they're very strong, but, you know, when you lose to Beef, it's not like when you lose to when Noodle was really pushed a year and a half ago in zoning, and it's just like you didn't get to play the game. And we don't really have like a Vortex equivalent, but you know what I mean. I don't think they have to be like the super strongest. I thought Meat Lynx was a substantial nerf. Although, granted, it was a buff to begin with. But it's been a back and forth. They don't have anything like super clear that I could nerf if I wanted to. Like, I don't want to change any of their tools. And what makes them good is that their tools are good. I could always dial down their damage a little bit, but, like, honestly, I don't think their damage is egregiously high. They are strong. They have been getting indirect new stuff. Air Lemon is one of the better jump cancels, but I don't think they're yet unbeatable or anything. So I'm okay with where they are. Table says, I mean, yeah, but imagine you join a fighting game Discord, complain about Lemon, and then the dev responded, well, you are wrong, you can walk back and block it, counter it, jump over it, use projectile. So Table, I don't know if you're citing that as like a good example where the game dev like teaches you and you have a interesting one-on-one experience and learn how to play a game, or if you're citing this as a negative because the game dev comes across as like really pedantic and, you know, like, oh, are you stupid? Are you stupid? You should be doing this, you stupid idiot. How dare you be stupid? Yeah. So, better to not engage. Kevin Kryptonite says, thoughts on putting big red arrows pointing towards the how to play button. Seriously, it's at the top for a reason. It's the default option for a reason. I don't know. I could do a much more on-rails tutorial that, like, does the sort of thing of, like, have you played before? If not, force you into the basics. That wouldn't be too much work. I could think about that long term. But I definitely need a way for you to exit out early. Because, you know, a lot of times when you're playing TLA, it's not like a game that you're loading up on Steam for the 50th time, you know. You could be opening it in a totally new browser tab, or you might have, it's been long enough, or you cleared your cache that it doesn't remember any of your settings, that kind of stuff. Fenorian Slip adds in, yeah, the comment about negativity takes a light touch, like a safe cracker, absolutely. Hoi Poi asks, who would win in a fight, Raul or Potemkin? Raul is a human being that can turn off the gaming console, so Raul will beat Potemkin 100% of the time, because Raul can always just rage quit. IE Dex says, did you see that mod I linked in the survey? No. I saw the link, but I haven't looked at it. Thank you for the reminder, IE Dex. If you can actually do me a favor, DM me on Discord. That way I will remember after the stream ends, because after the stream ends, I'm probably going straight to sleep. So if you DM me on Discord, I'll leave it as read and check it out tomorrow. Freudian Slip says, in regard to the TLA beat 'em up game, now is the time to step in with a replacement for Rumbleverse. Oh my god. That whole situation is so fucking sad, man. I loved Rumbleverse. I had so much fun playing that game. I had a month there. I think it was in December. I was going through some personal stuff, and I was grinding Rumbleverse for like 3 hours every day, minimum. I was playing that game an unhealthy amount to the point where I had to move my PS5 to another room to inconvenience myself enough, so I stopped playing. And then it was like, oh shit, the servers are shutting down. But I was super busy searching for apartments, and I didn't get to play. 3 hours a day, every day, when I should be doing things like work on TLA, is unhealthy. Unhealthy for me, for the amount of stuff that I want to get done. Not unhealthy in a vacuum. Playing video games is fun. Let's say, like, it was fun for the first week. It definitely started to just become, like, this weird chore that I was doing, where it was still fun, but just vastly diminishing returns. But I'm rambling. I loved that game. That game was so fun. It was so fun. Dolphin Dive forever. Dolphin Dive hit confirm into super forever. It was so cool. I hope they can bring it back somehow. And I feel so, so bad for everyone involved, for everyone on the development team. It must be absolutely heartbreaking. And it also, to me, serves as a cautionary tale. It's this kind of thing that makes me really nervous about getting involved with publishers. Because I'll go to these events and I'll go to PAX East, and people will be like, oh yeah. Publishers will just come up to your booth and be like, hey, you want some money? And it's like a deal with the devil kind of thing. And that kind of stuff can happen to you, where you don't own the game. You don't control the game. Or whatever happened. You know, they've been pretty tight-lipped about it. I don't know. I'm speculating a bit. But it's scary. It's scary. And it's also, unfortunately, the reality of a live service game. Which is why I do my best to open source all of the server code for TLA, so that if I get hit by a bus tomorrow and people want to keep playing the game after the domain bills eventually won't go overdue and the game gets shut down because no one's there to pay the bills, people could still play TLA. It's really important to me. Like, considering literally setting up like a kill switch that if I don't respond within a week, the source code will get sent to like a few of my programming friends who can then open source it. Or just like longer term, I'll just open source it myself. But, you know, I think about this stuff. I really think about this stuff because, for better or worse, TLA is my legacy right now. Hopefully, maybe I'll continue to live longer and build even cooler and better shit. But right now, TLA is my legacy, and I feel sad thinking about if I were to die tomorrow and no one could play it anymore. This has been a very existential stream. This is going to be a weird VOD on YouTube. Taylor Rice says, thoughts on Rice being boring? I think Rice definitely used to be extremely boring. Stuff like drill and the up-close links are my attempts to make Rice less boring. And there might be some fun stuff in April Fools that could be experimental changes to make Rice even less boring. I'm not sure what the silly feature request was. And I have now reached the end of chat. So, if there's anyone, if Table would like to clarify the silly feature request, I'm happy to respond to that. Otherwise, any last questions before I shut things down? MLG DDZ says, I actually respect the existential stuff. Thank you. You're more than welcome. The Rice clones. I don't know what you're talking about. Did I miss something? It can sometimes be hard to follow the flow of chat the way I'm reading it, with massive, like, 5-minute gaps between each one. You responded to it. Rice clones? FGC Wizard says, thank you for answering our questions. You're more than welcome, FGC Wizard. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with me. Hoi Poi says, have you ever eaten a meal made up of the characters' names? Individually, absolutely. I've definitely had meals that were just a slab of steak or some pork chops or some noodles. I've never eaten plain rice or plain onions and garlic. That would be a fun project to try and have a meal with all 6. Maybe we can do that to celebrate releasing the game for real. Fenordian Slip says, I love watching the game change and improve over time. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Fenordian Sleep. I really appreciate that. I still don't understand the table question, so I'm going to shut things down. If I give you 20 lemons, can you eat an onion on stream? Is this like the thing I've seen where people eat it as if it's an apple? Probably not. Probably not. I'll embarrass myself for 20k lemons with the other redemption things, but I'm not gonna potentially harm myself. I don't know what would happen if I ate an onion, either to my mouth or to my butt. Okay, this is Dragon. I'm just bad at saying goodbye. Thank you, Hoi Poi. My pleasure to do the Q&A. Okay, enjoy doing silly things. February says, estimate date for the actual release of the game or nah. This is not an estimate, but the goal is to be done by the end of the year. That doesn't mean that January 1st is the release date. It could be earlier, it could be later. But of what we currently know about the roadmap in terms of garlic animation and single-player content and mobile releases and improvements like training mode queue, I'm hoping to get all that done by the end of the year. We shall see. Have a good night, everyone. And just a reminder, DevStream is canceled next week. I'll delete them from the event site. Just stay tuned on our Twitter and Discord for announcements as I sort my life out. And then we'll be back to a regular schedule. Ta-ta!